First thing when it cut. Welcome back to Run4Adventure, guys, or if you've never been to the channel before, welcome to Run4Adventure for the first time. I'm Lo Purvis, I'm your host. It's great to have you along with the channel. If you've noticed anything different today, yep, I'm all dressed up in a shirt, and the reason being, it's probably out of focus, but we have hit 2,000 subscribers. So just before we get stuck into the review, wanted to pop up and say a massive thank you to everyone who supported the channel, everybody who has subscribed to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already and you're watching, please click that subscribe button. It means the world to us. But just a quick thank you. Now let's get stuck into this shoe review. Today we are reviewing the latest incarnation from Saucony of the Ride, the Saucony Ride ISO 2. The Saucony Ride has quite a lot of heritage when it comes to me and the channel. The Saucony Ride, believe it or not, back in the day was the first proper running shoe I had after having gait analysis, funnily enough, at the shop that I now manage, but also the Saucony Ride was the first shoe review we did on the channel. It feels like we've come full circle at the channel when it comes to the Ride ISO. We've had the shoe for a while, we've just been super busy with, getting married, going on honeymoon, shooting UTMB. Anyway, super busy. So before we start, let's give you a few facts and figures on the Saucony Ride ISO 2. The Ride ISO 2 is a neutral road running shoe from Saucony. It retails at £120. Men's shoe, weight-wise, 279, women's 249, and it runs off the Saucony 8mm offset. We've got 27mm in the heel and 19 in the forefoot. When it comes to the Ride ISO 2 compared to the Ride ISO, there has just been a subtle update. So there's been lots of things that have been carried over, and there's been a few subtle changes, but let's go through the things that have been carried over first. Obviously the ISO upper carries over. We've still got the form-fit construction. We are still running on the Power Foam EVA midsole, and the shoe still carries the Everrun topsole. Let's talk about the subtle changes that have been made to the new ISO 2. First things first, we have got a slightly different compound on the grip on the outsole. So it's now running on the forefoot with this new crystal rubber from Saucony. It's supposed to improve traction and durability. We've also got a bit of 3D print detailing on the upper to increase structure and stability in the shoe. It also comes with a slightly different knitted fabric in the toe box to increase breathability. And the shoe still carries the Tri-Flex grooves on the midsole for increased flexibility. This is one flexible shoe. With all them subtle changes that have been made, there has been a little bit of weight added as well from the previous version of the shoe. Only a couple of grams, but it is slightly heavier. We're going to do it a little bit different today. The sun is shining outside. We're going to get these shoes on our feet. Obviously, I'm going to get out of my nice smart shirt and put some running kit on, and we're going to take this for a run, and we're going to give you a bit of an insight into what we liked and what we maybe didn't like about running in the Saucony Ride ISO 2. Oops, I just dropped the shoe. It was nice and sunny when we were in the studio. The sun's disappeared and it's pretty gloomy now, but we needed to get in 5 or 6 miles before we did the review to hit that 50-mile target. So we've come out, we're going to get them miles in, and we're going to let you know what we like and dislike about the Ride ISO 2 and how it feels compared to the old Ride ISO. Let's get stuck into this run. So the first thing I like is the upper and the fit of the upper. That ISO fit upper in the Ride works really well. I liked it in the first shoe, and I'm liking it in the Ride ISO 2 as well. Super comfy around the midfoot. You feel really dialed into the shoe, and again, straight out of the box comfort. The ISO fit in the Ride really works. So I've come off the road, it was so busy with traffic, and it's a pretty awesome place to come and run. So number 2 on the list of things I like, the 8mm offset in the Ride. I'm a big fan of 8mm offset in a shoe. It's not too stacked up, not too heely, but also not too extreme. So a really good heel height for a big mix of runners. So the 8mm offset, big fan. Another thing I like in the Ride ISO 2, which is also carried over from the Ride ISO, is that Ever Run top sole. The EVA in the midsole is reasonably firm, but then you get this nice soft top sole of Ever Run compound from Saucony, which is basically lots of tiny little polystyrene balls all compressed together. So when you get that under your foot as a top sole, it feels super plush, really comfy. So my biggest like of all when it comes to the new Ride ISO 2, especially when you compare it to the Ride ISO, is the performance of the shoe. The shoe is way more responsive than the Ride ISO. I was a little bit underwhelmed with the Ride ISO. We've run it, we've reviewed it, there's a review on the channel if you want to go and check it out. But the performance of the Ride ISO was a big letdown. Whenever you tried to do any speed work or up the tempo, the shoe felt really flat and really unresponsive. You don't get that in the Ride ISO 2. So now when you decide to up the pace, the shoe comes to life. Whereas before with the Ride ISO, the shoe went to sleep. You know, it just didn't handle speed that well. And and it's a big surprise. The shoe's only had an update, and I thought it was going to run very similar to the Ride ISO, but way more responsive. It now likes pace. It likes speed work. The shoe feels good. All in all, I'm a pretty happy bunny when it comes to the Ride ISO 2. There's a few little things that I think could be done to, again, make another improvement on the shoe. First thing being the weight of the shoe. At 278 grams, it is not heavy by any means, but I think if they stripped, 10, 15 grams off of it, it could make a massive difference to the shoe. And that would make it one impressive neutral road shoe. And the only other thing I found comes down to laces. Again, nothing major, but when you're going on a run, especially if you've done a slightly longer run, I feel the shoe start to sort of work loose and you start to lose that sort of hold around the midfoot. And I found myself stopping and kind of having to re-tie the laces again mid-run just to get that hold back across the midfoot. So no serious dislikes really, just me being a bit picky. Anyway, the likes massively outweigh the dislikes, which is always great with the shoe. This is definitely a big improvement on the Ride ISO. Run's almost finished, we're heading home. Let's get back to the studio and get some scores on the Ride ISO 2. We're back in the studio. First thing to be scored at Run4Adventure is always price. The Ride ISO 2 retails at £120. There hasn't been a price increase, even though the shoe has been updated, and we always think that's a really positive thing when it comes to a new shoe. On our previous review of the shoe, we gave it a 7 out of 10, a pretty good score for price, and we're going to give it another 7 out of 10 for the Saucony Ride ISO 2. Number 2, when it comes to scoring, is comfort and performance. The shoe has been really comfortable. When we reviewed it last time, I was really happy with this ISO fit on the Ride shoe. I'm not a lover of ISO fit with Saucony. I don't think it works on a lot of their other shoes, and there has been some big changes of late at Saucony when it comes to the ISO fit. With the Ride, it definitely works. So you get a nice fit straight out of the box. It definitely hugs that midfoot. The shoe is true to size. Again, 9.5, I'm a 9.5, the shoe fits perfectly well. So really comfy around that midfoot. When it comes to the top sole, the Ever Run top sole in the shoe, again, it gives it a nice plush feel under your footbed. So a very comfortable shoe. Last time, we were a bit disappointed with performance. This time, way better, way more responsive. Very flexible when you start pushing the speed. The shoe feels super responsive. So the shoe's going to score a bit higher this time when it comes to comfort and performance at Run4Adventure, and we're going to give the Ride ISO 2 a really strong 8 out of 10. Next thing to be scored at Run4Adventure is durability. With the run we got in today, we have just ticked over 50 miles in the shoe, and the shoe looks great. Like you'd expect after 50 miles, there's no early signs of fatigue. There's no excessive wear on the outsole. I think with Saucony adding this new crystal rubber on the forefoot, that's supposed to improve durability, is a really good thing. We did a lot of miles in the Saucony Ride ISO 1, and you can see the wear we've got on that forefoot. This rubber compound on the Ride ISO 1 wore down pretty quick, and you can see we've pretty much shredded it all the way through to the EVA, and that was only with about 350 miles in the shoe. So adding that crystal rubber on the forefoot to the Ride ISO 2 is a really positive thing. I think you're going to get a lot more wear when it comes down to the outsole on the Ride ISO 2. When you look closely on the upper fabric, there is a little bit of bobbling going on the fabric after only 50 miles. Again, it's not a big deal. I don't think it's going to affect the performance. I don't think the shoe's going to break down quickly, but you know, whenever you see warning signs like that, you have to be a bit worried. So when it comes to durability for the Ride ISO 2, we're going to score it a 7 out of 10. Last thing to score at Run4Adventure is looks, and when we did the review last time of the Ride ISO, we did give it a bit of hammering when it came to looks. It was a pretty ugly shoe. The colorways were totally out there, and I didn't really get it. Massively improved when it comes to the Ride ISO 2. I like all the colorways. We got the black and blue, but I think all the colorways are pretty good. Lots of colorways in men's and women's. I think the men's colorways are a bit stronger, but they're definitely moving in the right direction when it comes to looks at Saucony. So we're going to give the Ride ISO 2 a much stronger score this time, and we're going to score it 8 out of 10 for looks. So pulling all them scores together at Run4Adventure, the Ride ISO 2 has scored a lot better than when we reviewed the Ride ISO, and the shoe is coming in with a pretty strong 30 out of 40. Bringing the shoe review to a quick conclusion, I feel the Ride ISO 2 is a good update. You know, the shoe is still super comfy like the original shoe. Really good fit around that midfoot, but way more responsive. What I found is the faster I ran in it, actually the better it felt, which was kind of the opposite in the original Ride ISO. So definite improvements on performance. I personally think this would be a great entry-level neutral road training shoe. If you're new to running, you're looking for a nice, lightweight, comfortable, straight out of the box, responsive training shoe that maybe you can do a bit of speed work in, this is definitely worth a shout. I would say fit-wise, it works well with a narrow foot, but with this ISO fit, I think there's a lot of adjustability in the upper if you are a bit wider. So a really good all-round shoe. Just want to highlight as well, guys, I've seen the Ride ISO 2 run in store a lot on the treadmill. What I would say is if you are a heavier runner, heavier on your heel, heavy on a heel strike, maybe there's better neutral shoes in the running market for you. This shoe doesn't react particularly good to a heel strike. It's very soft in the heel and the shoe is very flexible. So we have seen it run unstable on heel strikers quite a few times. But if you are more midfoot, forefoot, quite a strong neutral runner, and you're looking for that responsive, light, neutral training shoe, the Ride ISO 2 is definitely worth a try. The updates I've been really impressed with. I personally think over the last couple of years, Saucony have really struggled as a running brand. They made a lot of bold changes a few years ago, and I think a lot of them changes didn't fundamentally work. So we're seeing some good changes with the Ride ISO 2. Also the new Guide 13 and the new Triumph that have just come out have dropped this ISO fit upper, which I think is definitely a step in the right direction. I've never been a big fan of this ISO upper, even though it does work in the ride, and I think removing that in a lot of their shoes is really going to help the brand out. Well done, Saucony, you're definitely making a comeback. That is the review done when it comes to the new Ride ISO 2. Really hope you enjoyed it, guys. Hope you found it useful. Please get involved, get in the comments below. Have you run the Saucony Ride ISO 2? Did you run in the original Ride ISO? Are you finding it better? Are you finding it more responsive like we did? Please get in the comments below, guys. And as always, we've put a link in description. So if you want to find out any more about Saucony as a running brand or any more about this shoe, hit that link and check it out. Also, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the review. Obviously, if you didn't, don't worry, don't hit it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So hit that subscribe button. Join the Run4Adventure family. Don't forget to hit that bell notification so you'll be notified when there's any new content on the channel. We are going to be working super hard at Run4Adventure over the next couple of days, editing the footage from our European road trip. So soon we will be bringing you episode 2 from that series. So we'll be back with some new content very soon, guys. But as always, stay safe and keep on running.